her name was BB because it's two B's. I get it. So when last we met our intrepid heroes, we had been assigned to investigate the desert zone. Communications are down, machines are up. We better go see what's up with that.
Pod 042 to operator. Coordinates confirmed for location specified by Resistance Leader.
Understood, 042. Placing marker on target. The desert heat is going to make resupply efforts difficult, 2B. Please make sure you're ready before you go.
Hypothesis: jamming caused by enemies in local vicinity.
We actually picked up a new mail notification a little while ago, and it's the commander informing us that the stuff that we dropped back at the factory is available for pickup. So before we head out to the desert, just in the northwestern corner of the map, I'm actually going to go take a little break and check out the factory again. Thought I saw something. So you can actually see the entrance to the desert right here, where all the grass turns out to sand. It's being guarded by a couple of robots, just kind of skirting around them for the now. Box for it. So we actually have full access to the factory that we started the game at to begin with. Getting up there is a little bit obtuse at this moment, but not too difficult. Just need to make sure your OCD doesn't kick in, and you get every single shiny thing in the vicinity. That was a crystal, it's okay. graveyard. So, from where we actually landed, it's not only close to the resistance camp, unlike 6-0 was trying to convince us, but it's actually pretty close to where the factory was. This broken down piece of highway up here she was killed by a moose. You go over to this broken down piece of highway here, and there's a truck conveniently stationed for you to be able to jump up on all the debris and get back in. You can see the factory itself up there. This is obviously coming in from an entrance that we did not explore last time due to, well, you know, boss fights and blowing up. Unfortunately, it's also home to one of these... Oh, wait, no. This is actually a large treasure chest we can open. Although there is a locked one tucked away in a corner, I believe. What's that? What's that? Oh. That's one of the game spawn android bodies. Sometimes when you're walking around, you'll actually just find android bodies spawned by the game. They're not associated with the user account, of course, and they'll give you just a quick little ability. And this, that's Mirage. The skill might look a little familiar to anybody who's familiar with the original NieR, because Mirage is basically the Dark Phantasm ability. You create a bubble around yourself, and when released, do a very quick and extremely powerful physical attack to everything in the vicinity. Now we're back where we were. A little thing I didn't notice before, but where the Goliath used to be, they've actually basically papered over with all this old rusty metal. It's kind of a nice touch. So we also passed somebody on our way in. So speaking of bodies spawned by the game, there's one very special spawn right down here by the broken bridge. And that is us. This is 2B's original body. Bit of a sad state of affairs. But she's holding on to all of the usable items and collected items that we had before, including machine oils and rusted clumps. And the special auto-use item chip. The auto-use item chips are extraordinarily overpowered and we won't be using them. More importantly, we have 2B's katana back. I'll go ahead and leave in set where we can still punch things. That's better. So let's just head back on over to the desert. We are back over to the desert. Now, unlike most other enemies in the vicinity, these guys actually are aggressive. Of course, you can also just walk right past them, they don't follow you too far, but what fun would that be? If you're here to kill machines, might as well kill some machines. Cool guys don't look at explosions, 9S.
You're from Yorha, right? I've heard about you guys. We've got a squad mate waiting in a rocky stretch up ahead. Head on over. Just remember that there's nowhere to resupply out there. If you need anything, best to take care of it here while you can. What can I help you with?
I mean, you could also just come back here if you need something. So he sells us recovery items, and the same stock of plug-in chips that we had before. Now, you might notice something about some of these plug-in chips, that they're actually for the UI, not just for upgrades to your abilities. There's also that couple that actually alter the nature of some of your abilities, counter and charge attack, which, to be perfectly honest, I never took advantage of either of them, and I'm not sure I will going forward. So, the HUD-based plug-in chips can actually be taken in and out depending on how much data you want to see and how much open data you have. Each plug-in chip takes a little bit of space on your, well, I guess equipment grid. Like for here, you can see auto-use item takes up 5 points, experience gain up takes up 10. It's actually a really efficient auto item too. And once you choose what kind of plug-in chip you want to use, you're going to go back over to that little grid visible there and slot it in. And this means that you can actually eliminate certain HUD chips that you don't need. For instance, if you don't need to see the controls or the damage values or where the save points are, you can actually just kind of pull all those out. Give yourself a little more space in case you need it for ability ups or powers. Most of these do some good, and I'm going to be keeping them in just for the sake of visibility in the LP, but we don't need an OS chip, doesn't do anything. Alright, I guess we can set aside a couple of points for the, operating system.
The Council of Humanity has a message for all of our brave androids fighting on the surface. Currently, our struggle against the machine lifeforms is at a stalemate. This battle has raged for far too long. I am sure all of you find the effort grueling. But now is not the time to give up. Now, more than ever, we must forge on. Remember that several 100,000 humans on the moon want nothing more than to return to Earth. Glory to mankind.
Those council broadcasts are always so stiff.
Several 100,000.
Mail notification received from access point.
That's not a lot. So, this little tower stubby is interesting. And also kind of fun to kill. They are 100% defenseless. It's terrible, but so satisfying. So the desert here, this part of the desert, actually has a fair bit of stuff to explore, which we won't be getting into too much, because we'll have reason to come back. But in addition to what you're seeing up here, there's a whole network of underground caves. Today we'll stick to the surface. I hear one clopping around over here. Hey, little guy. Hi, little guy. They're literally just small stubbies with a bunch of extra torso mods. It's great. Look at them. I mean, while you can. I see the entrance to the cave system down here. But again, we've got bigger fish to fry. Taller robots to kill, I guess. Oh wow, they respawned real quick. So the desert is not just stacked by the defenseless little tower stubbies, you've also got the big guys to have to worry about. Well, I say worry, but ones. So as I said before, I was very keen on picking up Mirage as soon as possible. It's basically my go-to attack for the vast majority of the game. The pod programs also offer you a couple of different options in regards to original NieR attacks. Most of them do correlate to an original. The only one that I personally am missing quite badly is Dark Lance, which I suppose Laser might be a viable substitute, but it just doesn't feel the same, you know? I'm not gonna lie, but this is a nice robot family going out on a robot vacation. And we're just gonna slaughter them all. I mean, they're worth a couple hundred G. It's justified. I also never noticed this before, but when you're in low HP, not only does the screen go down to black and white, but there's a low beeping noise in the background. It's a failure signal. That's kind of cool. This guy is guarding a little chest back here. Oh, and a body. So when you see the attack ups, those aren't plug-in chips, those are actually temporary buff items. We had a few of them on our person back in the factory, and I think we picked up a couple on the way here. So popping one of those will give us a little bit of ranged or melee up or defense increases or speed. Also, neat little thing there, when you perfect evade an attack, you can actually attack whatever enemy you're facing, not necessarily the one that was attacking you. Alright, I think I've harvested their corpses appropriately. And where we want to go is at the end of this oil pipeline. Hey, up there.
Hey, our leader told me all about you. Name's Jackass. Nice to meet you. I hear you're planning to take out all the machines in the desert? Guess that means we need to get that entrance open.
Looks like it. So, Jackass, was it? What are you doing all the way out here?
Oh, that? Well... wouldn't want to have anyone getting tangled up in that, now would we? Don't go trying to be a hero, alright? Don't go trying to be a hero, alright?
Jackass is my favorite NPC from this game.
Who opens a sealed gate with explosives? There's gotta be an easier way, right?
No, I think that is the easy way. There's a less dangerous way, but not an easier one. Now here we go. These guys are interesting. If you look real close, they're small stubbies, but they are wearing clothing. Specifically, some kind of scarf and a mask. And that might look a little bit familiar to anybody familiar with the original NieR as well. Here we go. Whee!
This sand sure is slippery.
Yes, it is. The sands here are actually very slippery and make for, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of fun movement, which sadly Justin-sama did not have a chance to appreciate. Now, normally, I'm not a fan of desert-level archetypes, and I'm still not a fan of this one as well, but this
Careful.
little
We've got enemies approaching.
sand surfing mechanic is pretty nice. So we do have a primary objective.
Android desert.
These machines are talking.
Yeah, I've heard from the Resistance that they've been seeing this a lot lately. Couldn't tell you why, though.
And these guys are actually not primary objectives. They're going to show up in a couple of different places in the desert, and I'm going to murder them because they're out here. But you don't need to bother with these little red marks in the desert itself. There's actually a particular primary path that you're supposed to take, and it's way behind me now.
Android exterminate. Enemy.
Scared. Enemy. Scared.
Do you think they even understand the concept of being scared?
I would posit it's a possibility, but it's hard to be scared of a lot of things when you've got a chainsaw strapped to your chest. Don't look at explosions. Now, the reason I personally prefer to run around out here at this point in time is because there's actually a save point up here that we can unlock immediately for later use, right up against these old stairs. And also because the the enemies out here...
Jamming caused by enemies in local vicinity.
Yeah, I think we figured that one out before. So the enemies out here are the first ones you're going to get that'll drop plug-in ships naturally. And this is, you know, a decent time to start collecting them. We also had a correspondence from the Council of Humanity earlier. I don't know why, but I'm really amused by the League of Assemblymen Council of Humanity. Just seems a little bit redundant. Here we go.
Enemy. Kill enemy. Why?
No. Stay away.
What's with the weird-looking outfits?
I've seen that sort of thing when I was going through some old data. It looks like what humans used to wear long ago. Certain human collectives used to use face paint like that, too.
Face paint? Those are masks. So, needless to say, again, if you're familiar with the original NieR, these outfits will look familiar. And that's because these are gathered from the old people of Facade. It's a nice little nod. Now, there's another reason to be out in the desert at this point in time as well. The game hasn't made it explicitly clear. And why do I have the worst job just killing this one little guy? No, behind... There, yes. The game will offer us information a little bit later. Hasn't been made explicitly clear yet, but there is something that we can gather out here. If we come over to this part of the map, actually just passed it back there, but for the sake of navigation, you come out to this little bit that leads to an oasis out in the cliffs there. See the opening right over there. And then head north from the entrance. You may recall our favorite operator back in the bunker taking a call that somebody managed to lose their pod. This is where they lost it. We can find it.
Is this a pod?
Yes, it is.
Hypothesis. The owner discarded this pod and left it in safe mode. Motives unknown.
Why was it abandoned? Pod, reactivate it for me. If it's usable, try to overwrite the original owner with my ID.
Activation complete. Access granted. Previous owner ID successfully overwritten. Special weaponry now available.
Right, so now we have two pods. And we can switch over from 42 to, well, I don't know what pod number this is, but there he is. He looks a little bit different. And that's because his ability set is actually different. Unlike 042, which fires off a little pew-pew blast, this guy fires missiles. Lock-on missiles. To be honest, my personal preference is with the pew-pew blasting. The missiles just don't really do it. But now that we have a second pod and we can swap between these two at will, we can actually equip a different pod program to our second pod B here. And when we activate pod programs with either one of them, they can both contribute to the power of it. So the Mirage I did a few seconds ago was actually overcharged so that both pods came out and contributed to using it, which gives you different power sets depending on what pod program you're using at a time. So for Mirage, it has a slightly larger radius and deals more damage when you have more pods attached to it. This also increases the cooldown time, and doesn't make the second pod's abilities available until both of them have cooled down, so a little bit of a balancing thing. Just make sure you keep track of that. How did I miss you? So out here is a nice oil oasis. That is oil. You can still fish in it. But it's oil. This is where all those big pipelines are going to, or at least, well, different deposits like this. Apparently Japan just unearthed oil someday. This little area also has a kinda hard to see pathway heading up here. The flat lighting kinda throws you off, but up here we've got a different part of the oasis. A few more trees that I guess subsist on oil now. A couple of androids. Girls. I'll investigate away. Interesting thing about the Yora units, and I believe all the androids up at this point, they don't utilize anything like oil or gasoline to function. They rely on fresh water. Fresh filtered water. Also, wow, I can fish all the way up here? Huh. Now that's it for our desert exploration today. We'll come back and see where all these machines are actually coming from next time. And for now, I'm just gonna fish.
Commencing.
I'll see y'all later.